lost my voice, but I realized I didn't really make like an intro for this video. So basically I've been getting really into like the idea of like hand sewing and just sewing in general. So basically this entire video is just me trying to make a top for the first time and like actually just fully hand sewing everything. We're on this journey together, so yeah, that's basically what this video is. Enjoy. So I just want to acknowledge, first and foremost, I know this shot is like nothing is in frame. I started recording all of this on a camera I got not too long ago that doesn't have a viewfinder on it, so I was still kind of struggling figuring out where to actually set this up so you can actually see stuff. It gets better later in the video, but this first clip is a little rough. Basically, I'm just cutting and measuring my fabric and stuff based off of the measurements of this video for this backless ruche top, and I just added like 3 inches I think to that length measurement. So instead of 20 inches I'm going with 23. This is where we're starting off, just on my floor. I just kind of pinned the 2 pieces of fabric together, the linen that I wanted for my outer part and then an inner part that's just some random cotton fabric I had. Here I started cutting the fabric with, I think they're called pinking shears, the ones that like make the zigzag like kind of pattern, which I thought was like supposed to like stop the fabric from fraying, and since this is linen, it was definitely fraying a lot. But honestly, as you'll see, like that really didn't help. There were so many like crumbs, fabric crumbs just everywhere by the end of this. I think this was a mistake, but I honestly don't know, because I think just cutting it straight might have been a little bit worse. So now that the framing is not an issue anymore, I spent way too long trying to figure out how to make this strap, in which I just decided that I was just going to take this like long strip and just cut it straight down, and then pin it together so it was even, and then cut it again down the middle. So splitting this thicker strip into 2 small strips. And I don't know if I would do this again. I think I was working with what I had, but this ended up being difficult. This ended up being difficult. And now that finally all of our pieces are cut, I'm just pinning the edges, and then basically I started off doing like a back stitch on these with some white thread and a needle, obviously, that I was just holding in my mouth. And I started off doing a back stitch, but then I figured that this was way too much work. So I'm just going to do a straight stitch, and this footage is not edited. That's just how fast I was going. I was just zooming through this, obviously going so well with that form that you can see. But here's what it looks like finished. It's a little hard to see with the white thread on the white fabric, but you know, not the worst. So now just putting right sides together and then pinning it so that I can sew it along the longer side. So on these long sides, I decided to go for a back stitch, just because a back stitch is one of the stronger hand stitches that you can do. So I wanted this like long part to be really sturdy, especially because that was going to be the basis of where we would put the channels to then put the strap. So by this time I had started around like 2, and by the time I had sewn all the sides and just cut everything, it was 5. So this took about like 3 hours. So here I'm very shakily flipping it inside out and then ironing it. Which honestly, this was probably like the most fun. I had a lot of fun just ironing it. That was very enjoyable, and definitely helped a lot in terms of being able to actually finish it and have it look nice and have my stitches be really straight. So highly recommend ironing things, because it definitely does help and it is necessary. So in ironing it, I didn't show, but I also ironed the straps like flat as I was going along and pinning them, just so it was easier to sew. But that was such a time-consuming process that I just didn't film it. I'm just sort of measuring where the channel is gonna go. For the top one, I had done like an inch, I think, because the straps are supposed to be a ½ inch in length, and I wanted a little bit of extra room. And then the lower channel on the bottom of the top was 1.5 inches to give it a little bit of extra room, since we would be overlapping the straps at this part. So here I just went in and just did a straight stitch along the channels. The edges, I did kind of finish them and start them with a couple of back stitches, just so that that part was a little bit sturdier and a little bit stronger. But I used black thread for this because I wanted a little bit of extra contrast, and honestly, I think it was a really good idea. And if you disagree with me, then that's fair. But I think it looked really good, and I was really happy about it. Here's some close-up footage of my sewing skills. As you can see, I did really, really good, and definitely did not tangle the thread multiple times. But yeah, in this very blurry clip, here's how it turned out. Here's the back of it, and then the front. And I really like the choice of doing the black thread. I think it looks really cool. Gives it just a nice little detail. And here we're in the final strip. I don't know. We're sprinting down this. It was 1 a.m. and I am trying to finish this because I had to go to Arizona like the day later, and I was like, I want to wear this top because we're going to the clubs. So I did the old safety pin through the tube trick, and the speed of this clip is making it seem like this was a lot easier than it was. I said that sewing that strip was like a pain in my ass. Trying to get it through there was horrendous. It was really bad. The front part of it wasn't like too awful, honestly, but that lower channel was just so bad. I do not know. I honestly think it was just the edges. I had left a lot of fabric basically on those shorter edges from compared to where I sewed them, and I think it kept getting caught in there, and it was so bad. I spent way too long trying to figure this out. Too long to be doing this at 1 a.m. honestly, but I had to finish. I had to get this top done. I did not want to do the absolute last little bit of the strap that I had to do. I was looping it over. So close to the end. We're right there. And this was, it was definitely easier getting like that second piece through. But we're here. We're done. And on to the reveal. So for some reason I did film a clip of me kind of like talking about my experience and everything. And for some reason the footage is not pulling up. So I'm just going to talk about it here. I really enjoyed myself, although it did literally take me all day for something that would probably take me like no more than 30 minutes on a sewing machine. I still had a lot of fun, and I think it was worth it, and I think it's such a good low cost introductory kind of way into sewing and like making your own clothes and doing that sort of thing. So I highly recommend it. Yeah, it takes a long time, and honestly my back and my fingers were hurting so bad after this, but you know what, it's all part of the adventure, and now it's like I can literally say that I made that top myself, and no one else is gonna have that top, you know. I'm definitely going to continue hand sewing, and maybe I will film that and show you guys, and yeah, so that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this sewing journey as much as I did, and yeah, I hope you guys stick around to see what else I do. Have a good one.